Hello and welcome to your Tuesday edition of This Is Ibrox. It's myself, Kyran Wallace, and I'm joined by no other than Shug, trying to fill your Rangers-sized void during this international break. Shug, how are you?
Yeah, not bad, mate. I was enjoying a wee break from Rangers, but now desperate to get back into it.
I know, it's funny, when we're doing well, you don't look forward to the international breaks. It kills momentum, but it's been a while since that's happened. So we're on the flip side now where we actually look forward to international breaks with, I don't know, no real vested interest in international football as much as we do Rangers. Is that fair?
Aye, and I think just generally in football, I think watching games has been really boring recently. You know, you look at the first kind of Scotland game, a Denmark game, I just couldn't get into it. So international football's worse, but club football a lot of times been the same. But it's fair to say, apart from the tournament, international football just doesn't interest me at all.
No, I seen a thing yesterday. I don't know how true it is, that FIFA are going to introduce that the international breaks of September and the October one, they're going to join them so that it's kind of like, I think it's 16 days long and they can play 4 games, and it makes sense because it's kind of like after the transfer window, you sign players and you want to see them right away, and then it's like, they're off for 2 weeks. It kills, I don't know, it kills the interest a wee bit.
I think for us this year, it hopefully came at a good time just to kind of take the sting out of things and give us a wee bit of time to calm things down. But I totally agree. You're just getting into the season and then international break, and then you're starting again, and then international break comes around again. So I think that would make sense.
Yeah, and it's you stayed a wee bit of time there to figure out what we're doing. A wee bit of time in the training field so Russell Martin can give them some more information.
I know. We'll see how that goes.
We will. But anyway, we're also delighted to be joined by all the viewers and the listeners tonight. Do us a wee favour, send us questions. We've got a bit of a void to fill here. There's not been much Rangers news, as you guys know, so you guys write the show tonight. Get your questions in the comments. We'll answer them in the second half of the show. Even if it's nothing to do with Rangers and you want to know what kind of car Shug's in, anything right now, help us out. But aside from that, we've got news on Nico Raskin. We've got news on... We've been linked with Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain and other bits and bobs that are floating about. Anyway, Shug, we'll not really hang about. I'm going to go to this Nico Raskin quote. You tend to find when they go away on international duty, they're a wee bit more loose-lipped with the press and talk about their sort of club side of things a wee bit more, and they'll let on a wee bit more. So Nico away with Belgium scored as well. It's funny how this guy Nico Raskin, who according to a lot of our fans hasn't been great this year and he's not very good and we should sell him, goes and plays with one of the best teams in the world, and he's back to being the Nico Raskin he was last year. So again, he's not a bad player, it's a bad system he's playing in. Anyway, he said, I absolutely love Rangers. I've had some great moments there and I have strong bond with the fans. I always try to give my all. A transfer? No, that's out of the question. I want to continue to resolve this at the club. Now, left out that Old Firm game, not even just the game. He was left out at Ibrox. He was at home watching the game. Don't know the situation there. What do you make of this? How can they patch things up, Shug?
I think, first of all, it was extremely frustrating, and you know, we were all really angry not to see him in the squad for the Old Firm game. You're a crucial game, and he's not in the squad, and then he's going and scoring and standing out for Belgium just is so frustrating. I think the positive I've seen is both sides seem to want to resolve it. You know, he's put in the European squad, which again was a message that he saw a long-term solution. Kevin Felwell mentioned him as well. If it was kind of something that was so bad that was beyond repair, then I don't think that would have been brought up in a club, a club post in that way. And from Nico's side, he could have took the transfer. He obviously wants to resolve things. Those quotes are making it clear. I think the difficult side is we don't know everything that's happened, but I think that the difficult side is it's not like a discipline issue where one side just needs to come back and apologise and then it's over and done. I'm thinking back to Al McGregor, Barry Ferguson with Walter Smith. They just come back, apologise, serve their time and come back in. It's more the two parties getting round the table and having a chat about it. And the good thing is they're both going to have to want the same things for this. Russell Martin has got to strike a balance between between getting the best out of his player, but also being, quite firm and, not bending over. He's got to stick to his principles, whether we agree them or not. He's got to, manage it right. So it's a difficult one, but I think it will get resolved. He will be back in that team. I think both sides have got the appetite for it to work out because he's got a World Cup coming up. We need him to play as well. So for the greater good, you just hope they all kind of get to that point.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see from Russell Martin's side of things how this is brought down. Like the way I'm reading it from the outside, like there's always two sides to both arguments. Russell Martin's obviously been very annoyed at him for reasons that we don't know. I think it would be something along the lines of that he's been pushing for a move because he's always made noise that he's wanted to leave Rangers and move on to the Premiership, the whole Chelsea chat, all that stuff. And it's not come off. And the nearer you get to that transfer deadline, if Rangers are either, I don't know, blocking moves or not interested in offers that aren't up to what we're looking for, then the player gets unsettled. But from the player's side of you, like, Raskin's not been great, but I don't think that's just down to him and it's just down to his attitude because the ability's there. Like, I'll go on record and say he's probably the best player in our team. But it's the system, it's the setup, it's the way we're playing. I just don't think it suits him, and that's just not Raskin. It's everybody in that team. We don't seem to get the best out of anybody in this system. And we're going to talk about a couple of questions about shape and stuff like that we'll get to. But I'm trying to think the best way to put this. In this system, what position in this system do you think gets the best out of Raskin?
I mean, it's hard to say because I think probably, when Rothwell's played that number 6, he hasn't really got the legs to go in there. And you asked him to play a really disciplined kind of number 8 to one side of it. He doesn't really seem to like that. I tend to like him in that number 6 when you can allow him to go around, break things up, and you give him that role to play in there. But I think he can adapt to either, to be honest. He can play as a 6, and he can play as an 8, as he did under Barry Ferguson. I think it's more just the way the team's playing and fitting him in it. So I think he can do either side, but I think this chopping and changing, and we've never got the midfield mix right. So how are you meant to build anything on that? I think it was yourself that said the amount of different combinations we've had in that midfield area. So I think he can do either job, to be honest with you. But I just think it needs clear what does Russell Martin want him to do, and let's stick with Raskin because he's, as you said, he's our best player. So get him into that role in the team and make it clear you're our guy to do this in the team, and don't chop and change every single time.
Yeah, I didn't like the quote at pre-season where Russell Martin spoke about Raskin saying he needs to do more by doing less. And I'm thinking the strength of Raskin's game is getting about the pitch, breaking up play, like carrying the ball well. And like if you take away that running and ask him just to stand as some sort of static 6, and I don't know if that's 100% what he meant by it, but I don't like that for Raskin. I really don't. He has to be that busy central midfielder.
100%. I think in Scottish football, you do need, for want of a better phrase, you need dogs in the midfield. You need somebody that can go about, cover a lot of ground, be aggressive, go and win tackles, and not be stuck in a rigid sort of formation where we don't want you moving here, we don't want you moving here. Raskin plays his best football when he just covers every blade of grass and does his bit for the team, and we've seen that so many times. So I think almost keeping him to this, set way of playing can be restraining. It might be a case of the way Russell Martin wants to play and the way Nico Raskin, it might be that it doesn't match up, and it doesn't ever find a way that, it's the two merge together.
Yeah, and I'll tie this question in as well we got a question over on our Twitter. We are at This Is Ibrox on Twitter, or X, whatever AGI you call it, I don't know. This came from JB, and he said, I'll wait for it to come up on the screen. Do we go 3-5-2 on Saturday? Now, I'll tie that in. Shug was saying, would a change of system help get the best out of Nico Raskin and this team going 3-5-2?
Possibly, but I just think we've brought in a lot of wide players to go and change it to a 3-5-2. A lot out and out wingers that you wouldn't play as kind of sort of wing backs or the 5 in midfield. So I don't really see 3-5-2 happening. It might be in certain games, but I don't know. Who do you think would play that? Who would play? Who would be your wide options there?
I'm not sure. You make a good point. I'm not entirely sure, but could it be a case of horses for courses that you play 3-5-2 this game, and then depending on, say, you're away in Europe, you then pivot to 2-6s, that sort of thing. I wouldn't be opposed to it because I feel that now that we've got Cornelius in, you've got that left-sided centre back. I think Jayden Magoma is custom made to play a left wing back role. He can get up and down. He's quick. He's very athletic. Maybe on the right-hand side, I'd have more concerns between Tav getting up and down, can't quite do that anymore. Aarons hasn't quite proven it, but what would excite me about that is the two up front. Miovski, love the signing. I've not been on since he signed. I've got to say, I love the signing of Miovski. I think he's going to be an excellent player. He's already got the sheep rattled with his comments. And big man Sharmiti, we don't know what we're going to get, but he's 6'4", he's physical, he's quick. Him and Miovski up front might work. We don't know. We've not seen these guys yet, but I don't know. I'm just fed up what I'm seeing with Russell Martin, and I would like to see a change. A 3-5-2, I think, would be a wee bit more, exciting. But didn't we do this against, was it the second half against Bruges or the first half against Bruges? We came out 3-5-2, the friendly, sorry, just to be clear there. And we looked a bit all over the place.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely not against us trying different formations. Definitely two up front is something, I'd love to see at times. I think we've just became, I say became, we're only, a few weeks into it, but we're so predictable going forward that I would definitely not be against. My only thing, as I said, with the 3-5-2 is if you had Tav 4 years ago, the likes of when Gio used them, I know we didn't start off usually with 3-5-2, but in Europe we changed quite a lot to a 3, and it worked really, really well when you had Bassi on one side or a younger Barisic and you had Tav on the other side. It worked really, really well in Europe. Tav, as you said, has not got the legs to do that anymore. Now, whether or not you play a more forward-thinking player in that area, I don't know. I wouldn't be against, as I said, I wouldn't be against changes like that rather than seeing us do the same thing over and over again. But I just don't know if a 3-5-2 is what we're going to do.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I just want to see a bit of a change. I want to see something different because I feel like what he's doing just now isn't working at all. I'm going to go back to a comment here from Phil Reid. He's saying, did we see Ant-Man's comments on the fans? I don't know if you picked up on this, Shug, did you?
I didn't see that, no.
While away in international duty, he commented about what it's like being at Rangers and being at a bigger club in Glasgow, and along the lines of the fans can be very angry at times and they're quite within their rights. And again, we talk about it all the time. It's not like playing for other clubs. I'm paraphrasing it, by the way, but that's along the lines of what he said. It's not like playing for other clubs at Rangers. You're recognised by everybody. Everybody's very passionate about it. A draw is like a loss, and it's almost like he's starting to get what it means. Just along the lines of what he said, and what do you feel about Ant-Man's impact so far?
I think the first game he looked brilliant, and again it looks like a player. We don't know, but it looks as if he's been overcoached, and that he looks very nervous. He looks, he didn't look to have that confidence the last few games. Since then, he kind of went a bit off the boil. So it looked really good. I think he's got the attributes, but again, he's kind of looks like another one that's kind of taken a wee bit of time to settle in and get really into his stride. So I think there's a player in there, and I think, as you said, it's good. He seems to be recognising the expectations at Rangers, and again, this can be sometimes a good thing in international breaks. It lets these new players kind of pause and kind of reflect on how it's been since they joined and realise what exactly is at stake every single time they play. So I think there's a player in there. I don't think he's shown us enough yet, but it's early days for him.
Yeah, I think with him as well, it's about the players adjusting to how he plays as well. It's weird because it's uncommon nowadays that you'll get a right-footed player playing on the right-hand side and hitting the byline. Like, it seems old-fashioned. It's probably what we grew up on playing football, but now it's like you don't see it. It's all this inverted stuff where left foot on the right foot on the left. But I think with Ant-Man, and I watched it, I think it was when Max Aarons was playing right back behind him against St Mirren. Aarons kept making that underlap and running, hitting the byline when Ant-Man was in the ball. and it meant he had to go inside every time. Now, that's not his game. You've got to go and look at analysis after that game and say, right, Max Aarons, I can tell what you're trying to do there. I can see that you're trying to take men away to make space for him, but do it in the right way. Like, go inside the way Tav does. Take the men inside and open up the space down the outside for Ant-Man to work. And I think that comes in time with games, and that's where we say that we need to be patient on that side of things so that players can develop. And I think you hit the nail on the head with the word attributes. He's got the attributes. He's lightning quick. His delivery is 10 out of 10. How often do we see wingers that they're lightning quick and they're very good at doing what they're doing, but their delivery lets them down? Ant-Man's got that on his side. It's going to take time for somebody to unlock everything.
I think that the problem is as well in the Victoria game, he stood out because we got the ball quickly at our wide players and we broke at them with pace. The rest of the games, it's been so slow, the build-up, and by the time the ball gets to the wingers, they're doubled up on in the league and they're forced inside. When we don't let teams set and we just get at them quickly, Cherny benefited from a lot of time last year. Just a quick break, get the ball cut inside and have a shot. Ant-Man, it just seems like we're taking so long to get the ball to our wingers that they can't really do much. They're doubled up on by that point. Teams are set. It's hard to break down by that point. I think the Celtic game was probably a wee bit different. We actually tried to be a wee bit more direct. Now, we're really poor on the ball that day, but we tried to be a bit more direct and get the ball to the wingers quite quickly. So I don't think the way we're playing, I don't think anybody in the forward line's been able to really benefit from it.
Yeah, right on this point, I'm going to bring this up here. Robert Fisher in the comments, Shug, Ant-Man will be a gift for Miovski. He will love what he'll serve up. Talking about the assists, I can see that happening, but for me on that exchange, that we don't create enough chances. So something's got to change. Something's got to give there. We talk about a 3-5-2 or right wing back. Could Ant-Man be moulded into doing that?
Possibly, yeah. And you're right, but you're right. The system, it didn't matter who we had up front because we've not created anything in recent games for chances for them. So it needs to be that we've spent all this money on the strikers. We need to be looking at a system that gets supply in them. And you can't tell me amongst the options that we've got now out wide that we haven't got the abilities to supply these strikers. I mean, you looked at the start of the season with Dowell and Curtis, as the wide options. Now, no disrespect, Curtis has done really well, and there's definitely a player in there, but that wasn't the wide options that could provide, the amount of chances that we needed. Now we've got so many options out wide where you can change it up as well, and we need to just start creating chances for these strikers.
Sorry, we technical hitch there.
Oh.
Yeah, quick one I'm going to bring up here, Shug. I'm going to sort of go on to another player who I think should keep his place. Ian sent us a question over on our X account saying that, do you think Connor Barron should keep his place against Hearts?
I think he's got to start. If Raskin comes back into the fold, I don't see him thrown straight back into the starting lineup. I think Connor Barron, he was, again, we all had our doubts going into the Old Firm game, being honest. He always gives us 100%, but we had our doubts that he would be able to hold his own in the Old Firm game, and he was brilliant. He was up there with our best players in the park on the day. So I think he stays in the team, to be honest with you. I think it'd be very harsh to drop him, and I think it would probably send the wrong message.
Yeah, I'd say it's been his best performance in a Rangers jersey. And one thing I would say about Connor Barron's very useful in these big games where we need to go 2-6s and just sort of protect the backline. We've seen it away from home in Europe under Clement last year. Outstanding at doing that job, breaking up play. You said it earlier in the show, he's a dog. He works his backside off and he breaks up the play. And we need that. He might not necessarily be that guy that's going to break the lines with forward passing and like playing like a 10. He's never going to be that player. But what he does give you is that sort of protection when you play against the bigger teams. Quickly jump to a wee bit of news that broke today, which is a bit far-fetched. We've been linked with Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. His contract's been, I don't know, I think it's been ripped up in Turkey. Usually what you see, the same old story. He's been linked with us, experienced player. He's been round the block, Arsenal, Liverpool, some big clubs on crazy money down south. Linked with ourselves. Never say never, but I can't see it happening. Where would you stand on this?
gives me, maybe that's a lazy comparison, but it gives me heavy Aaron Ramsey vibes. You know, just a player that's been in the Premiership. Obviously a very good player, right? But I don't know if it's because he played with Arsenal. Just that idea that I think whenever we've tried to do this, a player that's kind of been at a high level and they're on the downward trajectory of their career, they've had injuries. We all this isn't happening. I don't think this is happening anyway. But we always seem to do that, and it never seems to come off for us. You know, so I don't see that, and it's not really one that excites me too much. As I said, I'm no doubting the guy's a good player still, but he said I think he's a few injury problems in recent years, and I just think for the amount you would have to pay him in wages, I just see it as a non-starter.
I'm sure he was on $250,000 a week at Arsenal. Probably pay him twice that. You know how we go. 49ers were loaded.
It's just I think it's just they're trying to throw stories about, aren't they? Like free agents. As I said, there's good players that are free agents, but there tends to be a reason why they're free agents at this point in time, usually. So I just it's no one I could see happening, to be honest.
I know, poor guy's got a job and they've just announced that they're having another baby. So congrats on that front. But I don't know if we'll be the ones giving you a job.
I'll best him.
Nah, we've got just under 10 minutes here, so I'm going to go to the comments and bring up some questions here. Airwolf Shug has commented saying, Nuno free now, would you take him? I think he's talking about, how do you say second name, the boy from Wolves that's just been let go, Nuno Santo. I can't say his full name. Anyway, Nottingham Forest announced at 1 a.m. that he'd been let go as his job and they've replaced him. Would you take him at Rangers? We talk about astronomical wages. That guy will be on a fortune.
He'll be on a fortune, and no, not for me. To be honest, I don't think. You know, I don't think he's really done it. He's not been at a club where the demands are quite like they are at Rangers. You know, at any point. So I think he's undoubtedly a good manager, right? You don't earn that kind of money in the game by not being a good coach, a good manager. But no, I don't see that as being the right fit, to be honest with you. And as you said, his wages will be, you know, huge. He wouldn't be on the top of my list.
Yeah, I'm sure he worked with Kevin Thelwell when he was at Wolves, and we know that Thelwell's really good at not spending too much money with his previous clubs, with Sharmiti and that, you know, so maybe he could do a deal with that. Not a chance, man. Next one from William Holmes, that was nearly your dad's name there, sir. Do you guys think we need a set-piece coach? I'll take this one first. I think, am I right in saying it's... Williamson, that's our set-piece coach just now, and for me it's just not working, especially defensively. I see that we go half zonal, half man. Our centre-backs don't pick up. They sort of line up to the rear of the 6-yard box. To me, that makes no sense. We only keep one guy at the front post in the front of the 6-yard box. Again, doing nothing, marking nothing. And we failed in the 2 times against Bruges with the exact same situation, home and away, for that, and we're just not scoring enough from set pieces. We had the one from Sutter in the Old Firm. It's a nice ball from Tav, which offside fell through, but that's probably the only one that I can remember. Where do you stand in this, Shug?
I think defensively, absolutely, we need a lot better organisation there. You know, the Club Bruges, the one that stands out. Absolutely criminal goal to lose. Every set piece will look dodgy, to be honest with you. So it's a bit of a mess on that side, and the same with attacking. It just seems as if, it doesn't really seem as if we've got much of a plan from set pieces. And I think I look back, and in terms of set pieces, with Tav taking long throws, and you're like, where's that came from? You know, it seems as if we've just got an absolute scattergun approach to everything. So I think there definitely needs to be, you know, a lot more organisation, both in attacking and defending set pieces, especially defending. It can't be that you've got the absolute fear every single time a team gets a corner against you, and that's been a couple of years now. And we can't argue we've not got a physical team. You know, we've got, you know, a lot of tall players in there now, but we just look a little bit of a mess, both attacking set pieces and defending them, to be honest.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Phil, Rangers till I die in the comments. We need a first team coach, never mind set piece. Couldn't agree more, Phil. Another one here. We'll finish off with this one, Shug. Do you think it's a must win on Saturday for Russell Martin against Hearts?
From the fans' point of view, 100%. He needs to win this game. I think fans are already too far gone. But if you get a win there, it starts to put a wee bit of pressure on Celtic and it eases things off for you. I don't know from the owner's point of view. I don't think they'll be thinking it's make or break. I think by the sounds of it, they're going to stick with this for a while. So I'm not expecting, if we don't win, I'm not expecting any action. But I think just in terms of where the team is just now, in order to turn a corner, we need to win. We cannot go 5 games in a row to start a Scottish Premier League season without a win. It just cannot happen. Fans will not accept it. A lot of fans already kind of doing their talking with, not buying the Europa League package, I'm sure. The longer this goes on with a win, the worse and worse it'll get. So for his kind of credibility and for us to start to turn the corner, it needs to be a win this weekend.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. I think it is a must-win. If it's not a win, I still don't believe he'll be sacked. I do think time is not on his side, without a doubt on that. But he couldn't ask for a tougher task. Like, Hearts are the unformed side. They're sitting top of the league at the moment. McInnes has got them playing well. They've invested well. They've made some good signings. I actually seen Frankie Kent will be missing for it, and also the new Brazilian signing will be missing, which I think Craig spoke about it in our chat, saying it's a bad day when we're looking at things like that and saying, oh, that's a bonus for us. But credit to Derek McInnes. He always sets his teams well up against us. He tries to man-mark every player across the pitch. My hope is that they'll come out and they'll try and play, and that will make things a bit more interesting for us, because you've seen that against Celtic. They came out and they tried to play without sitting in, because they wouldn't sit in, and we were a wee bit better, but they were there for the taking. We didn't beat them. I was quite disappointed we didn't beat them and really get things going. But 4 points from 4 games is not good enough for any Rangers manager, regardless of who it is. So is Saturday a must-win? 100% it is. And I think someone said it in the comments. Every game's a must-win at Rangers, especially now where we're playing catch-up. We're 6 points behind. They are there for the taking. They had a horrible transfer window. Things off the park aren't good. Things aren't good in the dugout. But to me, this could be the biggest tap-in for us to close that gap that I see is missing out on, especially with the chance for us to qualify automatically for the Champions League had we win the league. So if we're going to do anything this season, it has to start on Saturday. And if it doesn't, I'm afraid the curtains could be closed in our season this early, and it's hard to say that. And then you're looking at the Hibs game the week after. That's proper must-win, because then you'd be out another cup if we didn't win that game. So, yeah, at least we're finishing on a positive,
100%. But no, you're right. We need to get those wins, and they're going to be 2 tough games, especially, who they are. Hearts are trying to. There's a lot of talking coming out of Hearts, and that's quite rightly so. They've had a good bit of investment. They've got a good manager. They've got some really good players. So a lot of talking's come out about how they want to be challenging. They'll be thinking this is where we show that we're serious about it, and we need to kind of stamp our authority a wee bit. And as you said, put pressure on Celtic the next day. You lose and all the headlines go back to Rangers. So it's or you draw. We need to go and win this. And then, as you said, Hibs will be another tough game. So it doesn't get any easier, but this is where you have to step up. It's, as I said, we've all had our doubts about Russell Martin. We're all probably feeling the same, and he needs to show us something.
Yeah, in all fairness, Tony Bloom said Hearts could split the Old Firm. If they're going to do it, it's probably this year's their best chance. But yeah, we'll not drag on any longer. Thanks for joining us, Shug. Thanks to everybody that's commented, and I appreciate we didn't get to all the questions, but we really appreciate what you've sent in. The guys will be back on Thursday night, 7:30, usual time, usual place. Remember to like and subscribe and share the videos. Good night, everybody.